Hello, or should I say 안녕하세요, because I've become obsessed with Korean survival reality show The Genius, produced by Yeonjoo. Apologies for my awful pronunciation of the Korean names throughout this video. And another show Jang-yeon made after that in partnership with Netflix called The Devil's Plan. You may have seen the relatively new UK version of The Genius with David Tennant. In these shows, players compete in a series of what are essentially board games for a cash prize. Unlike most social reality game shows, none of the games require any physical ability, except maybe some mental endurance, as these games can last several hours. Today, I'm going to talk about a game which appeared in seasons 3 and 4 of the Korean version of The Genius, and appeared twice in the Netherlands version, which you can watch on YouTube, link in the description. The game is Monorail, or On Track in the Netherlands version. It's based on a 1988 board game called Venice Connection. They're almost identical. Well, if anyone out there likes the look of this game, now you know what to buy. In Monorail, two players take turns putting down track tiles to complete a circle line that departs from the train station and arrives back at the train station. The game starts with two station tiles placed next to each other with incomplete tracks on both sides. There are 16 more track tiles the players can use to complete the circle line. The 16 track tiles consist of two sides. The front side shows a straight track while the back side shows a bend. Tiles are placed beginning with the starting player. Players may put down 1 to 3 tiles during their turn. A tile may be placed either front side or back side up, but it must be placed so that it is touching the side of an already placed tile. However, tracks do not always have to be connected. If you put down more than one track tile at once, they must also be placed in a single line. Once a track is placed, it cannot be moved. There is no need to use all 16 tiles to complete the track, but all tiles that are used must end up connected to one single track. The player who finishes the track wins. However, there is another way to win. If a player judges that the track cannot be completed with the remaining tiles, they may declare that it is impossible. If a player declares that it is impossible, their opponent must use the remaining tiles to complete the track. If they complete the track with the remaining tiles, the player who completed it wins. If they fail, the player who declared it impossible wins. Okay, that was a lot of information. I'll just go over the main points again. Monorail starts with two horizontal track pieces laid out together. This is the station. Besides the station, there are 16 more tiles, which are a shared pool of tiles. Two players take turns placing 1 to 3 tiles in a line. The tiles laid must be placed adjacent to another track piece in play. However, track tiles played need not connect to the track when played. The player who places the piece which completes the track is the winner. There must be one continuous track for it to count. At first glance, this game seems solvable. By that I mean the best moves can be worked out such that a player could guarantee victory. Assuming two perfect players, the winner would be decided by which player starts. I did a little research and it seems that nobody has been able to solve it. It turns out this game is quite complex. I'll tell you now, I haven't solved it. I have, however, identified a strategy for winning, which was my goal for this analysis. I wanted to figure out the simplest way to understand the complexities of this game, such that that understanding might be usable by an actual human mind. Granted, the strategy I've found is still a lot to digest, but it breaks down the problem into bite-sized pieces. Before I get into it, have a little think about it. What strategies would you use? Pause the video, then keep watching when you've got some ideas. Did you think about it? Really? Or did you just want to be drip-fed the answers? What do I care? I'm just happy you're watching the video. I need those views and them tasty likes. Give me them likes. So the first thing to notice is that at least 6 tiles are needed to complete the track, and the track always needs an even number of tiles to be completed.
이게 완성이 되려면 무조건 짝수여야 되냐?
어떻게 해도 다 짝수인가?
If you make the track 1 tile wider or taller, you'll need 2 extra tiles. 1 tile wider and taller would need 4 extra tiles.
그러면 네가 후공하는 게 유리하지.
후공이?
아니면 짝수를 계속 맞춰갈 수 있잖아, 네가.
짝수를 맞춰가려고.
So we can deduce that it's probably best to lay down a number of tiles that keeps the total laid tiles even. This information isn't very useful on its own though. When I first saw this game, it reminded me of a drinking game my friends and I played at uni. Yeah, I had friends. We would drink and laugh and have a merry time. Now I spend my time alone figuring out how to win a game I'll probably never play and rambling about it to randos on the internet. Oi, get it together, mate. Sorry. The game was 21, or count to 21. Going around in a circle, players count up to 21, saying 1, 2, or 3 numbers at a time. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. The person who said 21 would have to down a shot or something. Simple. Let's assume I'm playing with one friend and I don't want to down any vodka. Ridiculous assumption. Quiet you. Now, how can I make my friend drink every time? Pause if you want to think about it. In this scenario, if I can say 20, my friend will say 21 and drink. Great. How can I say 20? Well, since the maximum number of numbers one can number is 3, if I can say 16, I can guarantee I will also say 20. If he says 17, I can say 18, 19, 20. If he says 17, 18, I can say 19, 20. And if he goes up to 19, I can just say 20. We can repeat this process from 16. My new target number is the old target number minus 1 plus the maximum number of numberable numbers. So if I can say 12, I can say 16, so I can say 20, and my friend will drink. If we repeat this process 2 more times, we'll see that if I can say 4, I'll be able to win. So if my friend starts, no matter what he says, I'll be able to say 4 and win. This is a solved game. Let's apply this to the Monorail game. I want to say the 60th tile with maximum increments of 3. So if I go second and make sure the tiles are spread out enough to need all 16 tiles, I can win. Like this, right? Wrong! Right, that's wrong. Let's write that wrong. Look at this example. Player 1 starts like this with 2 tiles. So I'll play 2 like this. And we'll continue as per. But look, player 1 wins. How did this happen? Don't that look a bit like a T? It's a T. When player 1 placed the tiles like this, a single tile space was created, separate from the rest of the unlaid track. So, at the end, when they placed the 14th tile, there were only 2 tiles left, but it wasn't possible for player 2 to fill both spaces in one turn. In our counting game analogy, placing disconnected tiles like this is like saying numbers out of order, like 2, 3, 8, 9, 5, 6, 7, and so on. You can leave gaps in the chain, creating extra depth. Understanding how these gaps affect the result is the key to winning Monorail. We've already seen that when there's one gap, if I can pass control to my opponent when there are 4 spaces left, or a multiple of 4, then I will win. Now let's look at 2 gaps. I don't like calling them gaps. I'm gonna use something cooler. Now let's look at the 2-dimensional problem. We'll start small and go up. The simplest case is size 1, 1. If I pass this to my opponent, I'll win. For size 2, 1, my opponent could reduce it to size 1, 1 and I would lose. The same goes for 3, 1 and 4, 1. However, at 5, 1, things change. Size 5, 1 is essentially a combination of the size 4, 1-dimensional problem, and the size 1, 1, 2-dimensional problem, both of which are winning cases for me. Regardless of my opponent's next move, I'll be able to reduce the problem to one of these winning cases. If the 5 is reduced, I can reduce it further to make 1, 1. If the 1 is removed, it becomes a 1-dimensional problem I can reduce to 4 for the win. We have just discovered something extremely useful. The basic winning cases can be combined to find more winning cases. We can apply this to the 2-dimensional cases of 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, etc. They are all multiples of the 1, 1 case. They're quite easy to understand. Anything my opponent does to one line, I'll do to the other. I can maintain an equal number in both dimensions until my opponent removes one, and I can win.
이것들을 이렇게 구획하면 되거든요. 아예 이렇게 했다고 쳐봐요. 그러면은 지금 둬야 되는 데가 두 개잖아요. 맞죠? 그럼 끝난 거예요.
Now we move on to the 3-dimensional cases to find any more basic winning cases. Starting with 1, 1, 1, we see this can easily be reduced to 1, 1 by our opponent, making it a losing case for us. The same is true for 2, 1, 1 and 3, 1, 1. 4, 1, 1 is a winning case for us, but it's not basic. It's a combination of 1, 1 and 4. Moving on to 2, 2, 1. This can be reduced to 2, 2 by our opponent, so it's a losing case for us. Next is 3, 2, 1. This cannot be reduced to any of our basic winning cases. It is a winning case. It also isn't a combination of the basic winning cases we've found so far. Therefore, it is a third basic winning case. It is also the last. Here's how it could play out in a game. If my opponent fills the 1, I can make it into a 2-2, which wins. A similar thing happens if any of the 3 rows are completely filled in. I just need to make the other 2 equal. If one space of the 3 is filled, I can fill the 1 and leave my opponent with 2-2 again. Essentially, if any of the dimensions are reduced in size, it will have the same size as another of the dimensions, so I just need to remove the remaining 1. For 4-dimensional problems and higher, all winning cases can be viewed as combinations of the 3 basic cases. Anyway, enough abstract logic. How do we use this to win the game? Let's look at the game that was played by Dongmin and Yeonjoo in Season 3 of The Genius. This was the first time the players had seen the game, and quite frankly, they were terrible at it. They only had a little time to practice beforehand, I think about 30 minutes, but that's no excuse for what you're about to see. These people are really clever. Usually. Dongmin opens the game with this. Pause and have a little think about how you can use what you've learned today to win. If you said to do this, you'd be wrong, very wrong. The correct answer is this. You can create a 1-1 case and secure victory on your first turn. Dongmin would have to fill one of the spots and you could place the last one. Going back to that wrong move by Yeonjoo, what would you do if you were Dongmin? Pause and think. I took out my copy of Carcassonne to help me work it out. You can do that, or make your own little pieces, or just make some notes, whatever helps. Experiment by placing Dongmin's tiles and visualizing the possible routes available. Then try to identify whether you've created a winning case. Okay, did you say this? No? Good, because you'd be wrong. Dongmin, what are you doing? This was a tough one, so don't feel bad if you didn't get it. You should feel bad if you didn't even try though. Quiet you! One solution I came up with was this. Why is this so good? First, it only has one possible route. It's exactly 16 tiles, so I know what remaining moves there are. Second, the remaining tiles make a combination of the basic winning cases. This could be viewed as a 4-4-1-1, 2 4s and a pair. It could also be viewed as a 4 and a 3-2-1. This is a winning position for Dongmin. When you find what looks like a winning case, you also have to be aware that the game state might allow for different interpretations. What does that mean? Let's say Yeonjoo played these 2 tiles after. She cut one of the 4s in half, creating a new winning position. Now it looks like a 4 with 1-1-1-1, or a 3-2-1 with a 1-1. The problem for her is that for Dongmin it also looks like a 2-2, a 1-1 and a 2. If he takes out the 2 by cutting the other 4, he can create yet another winning position, one that can't be interpreted as anything other than 2-2-1-1. He will win. Let's look again at Dongmin's awful move. How can you win? Did you say this? Well done, you'd be right, and well done Yeonjoo. This one's much easier. Just complete the bottom bit of the track to make a 1-1 at the top. The game is all but won. What do you think Dongmin does here? He knows the game is lost, but that doesn't stop Dongmin. He confidently plays this. Here, the track is impossible to complete. If Yeonjoo just says so, she wins the game, she survives, and Dongmin is eliminated from the Genius. But Dongmin's overwhelming confidence drops a seed of doubt in her mind. That seed grows, and her own self-confidence withers in the shade of Dongmin's mighty tree. In the end, she places a tile, and Dongmin declares it impossible. What a game! Seriously, watch The Genius. It's incredible. In Season 4, Monorail appears again. The players are also told what games could appear at the start of the season, so they can practice and prepare in advance. Kyung-hoon had studied the game and told Junseok his strategy. His strategy was to go first and play this. Who will win if both players play perfectly? And how? I'll give you a hint. Pause now if you want to figure it out yourself. The hint is, all of the basic winning cases have an even number of tiles. Right, had enough time? Good. Here are the possible final tracks. This bit over here can change depending on where the bends are. Junseok used 3 tiles, so there are 13 left. We can use 1 or 3 to make an even number, which is what we need to make a winning position. If we use one tile, there'll be more tiles left, meaning that there'll be more options for our opponent. We don't want that, so let's use 3. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 options. Well, actually 11 because these two can vary what kind of tile they use. We could go through each option one by one, but that'll take a lot of time. I'll choose number 1 because it lets us remove the ambiguity around this area. The final tile could go down or bend right. I'll go with the final tile going down because it spreads things out a little more and makes things simpler. The remaining tiles do make some winning combinations. This could be 5-3-2, where the 5 is like a 4 and a 1, so it'd be a 4 and a 3-2-1. It could also be viewed as 3-3-2-2, which has 2 pairs. Nice. But it could also be viewed as 4-4-2, which is not good for us. If our opponent places these 2 tiles making 4-2-2, we're on the back foot. But we have a little trick up our sleeve. We can cut this 4 into a 1-1, making it 2-2-1-1. There's no coming back from that. I went through every other possible move our opponent can make, and for each there is a way for us to assure victory. I also tested this option because it cuts the game down the middle, and the 1-1 basic winning case is the easiest to think about. It works. We can mirror whatever our opponent does. Because of the asymmetry of the center tiles, there are 2 options which can't be mirrored directly. This tile can be placed on the right, but on the left there are no tiles in play that are adjacent to it. To counter this move, we must be a bit creative. Can you figure it out? Turning over these 3 on the right will create 2-2-1-1 and we're safe. The bottom right tile also has no tiles adjacent to it. The equivalent tile on the left can be placed here to make this situation. This can't be mirrored. How can we get out of this one? We can place the 3 tiles on the top right, making the 3-2-1 winning case. Easy. There might be other solutions to these problems. Let me know if you find any. Player 1 can't win if we play perfectly. Some of the other 9 options might work, I don't know. I didn't bother checking. I found 2 ways to win against Kyunghyun's opening. I think that's enough. I hope you can see now that this game is surprisingly complex. And while I wasn't able to solve it, I have discovered the tools needed to win and codified them in a way that is hopefully easy to understand. By finding ways to create the 3 basic winning cases, the straight 4, the 1-1, and the 3-2-1, and combinations of them, you should be able to win any game. Just make sure you don't let your opponent do the same to you. Admittedly, implementing this strategy is much easier said than done. Imagining all the possibilities is a feat in and of itself, let alone finding the combinations while doing so. But hey, that's why this game is great for a show called The Genius. I have no real basis for what I'm about to say, but assuming 2 perfect players, I think player 2 has the advantage. I played so many games against myself, and while I'm not perfect, I'm pretty confident in my abilities. My player 2 won most of the time. The main advantage player 1 has in these games is that players aren't perfect. They can control the shape of the track and play on familiar ground. The complexity of the game makes it likely that player 2 will make a mistake that player 1 will be able to take advantage of. We see this in Season 4. Yeonseung can't find the path that works in this position, declares it impossible, and loses. If anyone can solve this game with some elite technical know-how, I'd love to hear about it. Before I go, here's a little puzzle for you. Who will win this game, and how? Until next time, bye!